Hello and welcome to Accent Show series, where science meets story, and we also explore breakthroughs which begin long before the lab. Accent is more than a series; it's a space for honesty for investigators, early stage investigators, and researchers alike. It is also a space for growth and a space for the next generation of scientists to rise. So, in this safe space, we spotlight early stage investigators, not just for their achievements, but for their journeys. We look at the uncertainties that surround research, the setbacks, the questions, and the resilience it takes to keep going. And this is important because every discovery has a beginning, and also every voice here matters. And so for today's debut, we will start with quick introductions and then transition into conversations about how we developed and continue to shape our research identities. So quick introduction, Dr. Bolajoko, just a very brief intro.
I am Okwebola Joko, a research associate in Cancer Health Equity Research Program, Mayo Clinic, Florida.
Okay, you're welcome. And Dr. Sue?
Hi everyone, I'm Ting Yuzo, a postdoc fellow at iCare, and I'm interested in starting the cancer precision communication. Happy to join me.
Yeah, and Uju Aliche, I have a rich PhD in health information behavior sciences. I am also a research fellow at Mayo Clinic. We're all happy to be here. So over to you, Dr. Zhu. We will transition into questions or conversations about how we developed, because we didn't just wake up, but we developed and evolved. And so we'll continue and look at some of the questions that surround how we evolved into what we have identified as our research identities.
Oh, sorry, I just noticed I am muted. Please bear with me. And so before that, let's start with some ice-breaking questions. And how about, first of all, let's share what's the fun facts of ourselves who most people don't know. Yeah, please, Dr. Brajaka, you come first.
Yeah, one fun fact about me is that I like singing. I like singing and I do sing and a little well.
Do you like singing a bit?
Yeah, interestingly, I don't know how to dance. I only know how to sing.
Yeah. You should sing for us one of these days in the lab.
Looking forward to that. And how about Dr. Lichi? Fun fact?
One fun fact, would I say that I like traveling? Yeah, but I am waiting to have the kind of money that will take me across the world. Yeah, I would like to visit at least every country in each continent before I exit this world. So that's something I really want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. And for me, the fun fact I think is the sorry for the noise. I cannot control that. So the first thing in my morning, I start with a warm water. I believe it can clear my system and wake me up. So, and even in the summer.
Wow. Even
Yeah.
in Florida.
Yeah. From Oregon to Florida. Same thing every morning. That's like a religious
Yeah. I
thing.
asked because Florida is very hot.
Yeah. So I believe most people don't believe warm water every day. Okay. Next question is a live had a theme song. What would it be and why? Dr. Bajaka?
It would, honestly, the theme song would just talk about God's faithfulness to me. So that's like the summary of my. I've had a very interesting and full life, and it's just God's faithfulness.
That's great. Dr. Lichi?
I think I would have a theme song for each phase of my life because every journey has been different from family to career. So I don't know which in particular, but maybe because this is career oriented, I would say that all things work together for good. That would be the song. Like you just don't know the next step. You just keep moving. You never know, but all things work together for good. So probably that would be my theme song. But like again, I said there are different phases in life. So and each one has a different theme song.
That makes sense. It depends on our moods and circumstances. So for this specific question, if I need to choose, I like to choose the song "A Sky Full of Stars," song by Coldplay, because I like the song. It's how to say, because I think my journey is also like an unfolding adventure. For example, from communication to the medical healthcare research. I'm exploring new paths at all time and facing new challenges and discovering new things along the way. And yeah, if you have a chance, I encourage you to hear it, A Sky Full of Stars. And that's the fun facts. And I think it's time for us to moving on to the questions we have today. We like to have our ESIs to share their experience and the life thing behind the scientific thing. So the first question, how did you decide to pursue this research path? So how about Dr. Bojoko start with this question?
Yeah, this research part, I decided to follow this research part in 2017 when we had the CAPTC, that's Prostate Cancer Trust Atlantic Consortium, had a conference in my university. I was an assistant lecturer and a PhD student. So I attended the conference and it was really, really interesting to hear about cancer. I mean, I've always been interested in chronic diseases. So I had a lot of presenter presenting about cancer, particularly about why we need more human resources for Africa and human resources for cancer research to be able to address the disparities. And I know where I was at that time, there's not so much. I mean, I've never had to attend anything about cancer. And when people have cancer, they don't talk about it. So it was an eyes opener for me, and I decided to change course.
Okay, that's great to hear your story behind the science. How about Dr. Lichi?
Yeah. Actually, I didn't choose this research part, like I kept saying, and it's I also want to let everyone know that it's okay not to really know the big picture from the you know from where we are, or to know the next step. So I haven't always envisaged that this will be it, but I've just always taken it one step at a time. The one thing I know that I liked to do was that I liked to write. I didn't even know it was called research at that point in time, but I liked to write. And then I liked health interventions. But that was it. I didn't know there was something even called health behavior research. So it was just one step, all of the little points, all of the little, here and there professors. I would say that I lived off on most of my professors' tailcoats because my mentors, my professors are like, hey, I think this is who you are. This is what you're trying to do. I read your papers, I read your work. This is what you want to do and tap into it. So I am a product, you said it takes a village. So I'm a product of that, me reading, listening to professors, mentors, classes, and somehow I still haven't fully evolved. I want to believe that I'm still evolving. So it's still a trajectory. So again, having an idea that I want to write. And I must also acknowledge my dad because he really used to encourage me because he used to read my work and be proud of me all the time. So that was first off my dad. And then, here and there going to school, having an open mind, knowing that I wanted to do research, knowing somehow, and then somehow, progressively. So again, it's still a trajectory. I haven't fully arrived. I am still evolving. I am still learning from mentors and from even my colleagues and even environment and things going on. So yes. So did I wake up and say this is what I wanted to know? Yeah, I wasn't that certain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear how the journey was unfolding. Yeah, and it's exciting. And for me, I like to say, honestly, the motivation is very personal. My father was diagnosed with late stage lung cancer after years of smoking. So, what stayed with me wasn't just a missed chance for early detection, it was also about how hard it was for us as patients and caregivers to understand the medical information and make decisions. So, that experience really shaped how I see the healthcare research. And today we have so many incredible tools like AI-enabled risk prediction and early detection. But I believe they only can work if people can actually understand the information we communicated and use the information in the decision-making process. So my work focuses on making complex risk information clear, trustworthy, and actionable, especially for underserved populations. And I've also been fortunate to be trained at iCare as an ESI, where Dr. Dina and her colleagues provide so many opportunities and supported my healthcare research. And that's wrapping up our first question. Let's move on to the next one. So, what drives your research interest, and how do you see these interest areas shaping the future of healthcare innovation?
Yeah, for me, I picked interest in survivorship care and continuous care at home because my aunt died of breast cancer. I was not too young at that time. I was already in the university, but I know it was very stressful taking care of her. There was not so much going on. And I also had a neighbor who passed from cancer. I've had church members who passed from cancer, and supporting those family was myself. I didn't know so much. I didn't know anything at that time. I just, some of those, to be honest, at that time they were really privileged information. You only know because you're very close, because it's not what people discuss. But I know how stressful it is. They don't have enough information. The carers, the family members don't know how to care, and it's just been very stressful. We visit, we provide support as much as possible. So for me, it's a question that I'd love to ask, that how can the carers, how can a cancer patient receive continuous care at home, since they don't stay in the hospital anyways? They just come in or go in to receive their treatment. But the whole spectrum of living with cancer and side effects and all that, they need to be able to handle that. They need to know what to do. They need to know who to call. They need to be prepared for the demands of care. So that's actually what drives my research. And the amazing thing is that there's a lot of innovation out there and people are living longer. So what that means is that there will be long time of support. They will need long time of support to live a meaningful life. It's not just to have their life span extended, but to have a meaningful life with living with cancer. So that's what really drives me. Even though I was not able to answer some of the questions of those close to me that passed. I want to be able to support people and give answers to those who might be interested in providing continuous support and care at home when people are surviving cancer and living, I mean, receiving treatment from cancer.
That's fantastic. Yes, glad to see we are addressing the needs from the real world. It's very promising and encouraging. And let's move on to the next question we have. So, what challenges did you face as you were developing your research identity, and how did you navigate or overcome them? Dr. Lichi, how about you answer this one?
Yeah, I would say identifying the research population because I had a population that because Dr. Bola Joko said, cancer hit close home, and I happened to be a caregiver, and for all the times I went to the hospital, there were it hits all ages. So there was no way to fully target. If it were possible, I would love to target everyone that's at risk of cancer, but that's not possible. So there has to be a population. So that was one of the challenges. I remember seeing a little girl who was 14 or 16 battling breast cancer. She wasn't even fully developed. I was as I'm going with my family for radiation and treatment. So when you go there, you see it's a different world. So and so that was a challenge identifying a population. And but also because I'm also vested fully in cervical cancer, it made it a little more different for me because it pretty much gives you that focus in terms of eligibility, childbearing age, and all that. So that was a major challenge for me. And like I said, having to come into the cervical cancer space, it helped me to thoroughly focus on a specific population. But in the future, when I would be very wealthy and be able to provide interventions, I'll make sure I reach out to as many people as possible that I can touch with, that are affected by cancer. So that would be my major, identifying a proper population.
That's fantastic. Okay, how about next question we have? So, what core research question or problems drive your work, and why are they important to you?
For me, the one of the question I want to be able to answer, what drives me is how can we improve survivorship experience for not just the patient, but also for their caregivers, their family members who are caring for them. Because, there's fear, there's so many things going on. So, how do we improve that experience and ensure they have a meaningful life? And that's what the question I really want to answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zhu and Dr. Palajoko. We have Dr. Borna here. You're welcome. Would you please introduce yourself?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Tamithia Bonner. I am a research associate here in the Cancer Health Equity Research Program. I primarily look at survivorship versus self-care management of cancer as well as other related comorbidities.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so just before you joined, we were going through identifying or having conversations surrounding what shaped us and has continued to shape us into what we call our research identities.
Okay.
We've been taking some questions, and maybe you would also be able to take some questions for us. Yeah, and we would have the next question. So, Dr. Barnard, this is for you. How have your academic background and lived experiences shaped your research interest and approach?
Oh, well, I come from a clinical background. I'm a podiatrist by training. So I started out in medicine, and I kind of did a transition over to the public health, personalized health um, side or the research side, because I was really interested in why I saw some of the outcomes that I saw. And so that has kind of really shaped how I really look at cancer, how I look at cancer related or the intersection of cancer with other comorbidities. So, just coming from that clinical background, having that experience in the hospital, and having that experience in the in private practice, and then seeing how that kind of spills over into research. But usually researchers and clinicians, it's a very different language. So one of the things I kind of pride myself in being able to speak, both languages and kind of being that bridge in between medicine and public health or healthcare research.
Thank you so much. Um, I think we can take one more question. And then, what personal, clinical, or community experiences have most influenced the types of research questions you choose to pursue?
Is that for me too?
I mean, we're happy to have you answer that if you want to.
I tell everybody I came to research. I have, and I'll, won't say the name, but I'll um, give the initials. I have a patient that drove me to research. And when I say he drove me to research, it was such a unique situation because he was actually a twin, identical twin. I saw one twin in the hospital and I saw the other twin in the office. And I was just so perplexed by the exact same condition, the exact same health outcomes, but mentally they were two totally different people. And they lived together, y'all. It was the most bizarre thing. They lived together. And I was asking my attending, like, how in the world can these two people coexist in the same place and be so different mentally? And he looked at me and he was like, that's your job to find out, not mine. And that was kind of how the research wheels started spinning for me. So that I draw on that experience anytime someone asks me about, why did I make the pivot, why did I change, and I can immediately go back to those or that particular patient, he and his brother, and that was the thing that made me do a beeline straight to research.
Okay.
All right, that's fantastic. Thank you, ladies, and thank you, everyone listening. This was such a great conversation, and what really stood out to me is how our personal experiences and community needs shape the work we do, and how we grow through challenges, and how much we all care about the real impacts. So I'm really excited to see where this goes, and with that, we are moving into academic diaries. It's my great honor to welcome Dr. Falakimi Aladina. She's a leader whose work has shaped many paths in cancer research, and she's a visionary, mentor, and a global advocate for health equity. In this series, we go beyond achievements and explore the why behind her work. Thank you.
And on that note, we would want to thank you all for joining us for this powerful first entry of Academic Diaries. And we believe that, I mean, at I Care, we believe that behind every scientist is a story worth telling. Stories that inspire, connect, and open doors for others to follow. Please stay connected with us as we continue to elevate voices, share journeys, and build the future of science together. Until next time, um, keep rising.
Ooh. Oh, okay. It's my turn. Are we on? Are we live? Give me a sign in the comment section if you're live. Are we on? Are you excited about what just happened with the early stage investigators? Really sharing your story, how amazing. There are some things that I didn't even realize. about them that they have chosen. Oh my goodness. I am so excited about this. This is just amazing and beyond amazing. I have my diary. I've been doing a lot of diary entries since I knew this show was on. So I am ready. I am ready. I am ready. The core message: your career must be anchored in purpose. Okay, so let's start with that. Let's start with the core message that I really want to provide. So, can we have that up there? Because I think it's very important that we put that out there. So, behind the scenes, I want you to know that your career must really be anchored by a purpose. So, let me get started. Welcome to Academic Diaries with Professor O, and where science meets real life. Today's diary entry, and I'm going to put my diary down because it's already entered. Today's diary entry is very personal for me, very personal, because every career has a beginning, but not every beginning is clear, planned, or even logical. I love what Dr. Alice, Dr. Bolajoko, Dr. Bona, and Dr. Suzu just shared. You can see as they shared their life journey in becoming a scientist is something that is really, really personal to each person. And we have to think about it as something that is personal to each person. So, yes, I've been over 30 years in academic career. And I didn't just wake up one day and say, I want to be a cancer researcher. That's not how it happened. There was a moment, there was an experience that stayed with me and quietly shaped everything that came after. That's what I'm going to be talking to you today. Let's sort of take a little bit of icebreakers and let's ask the first question. Before I became a professor, what did I think my life would look like? Uh, what did I focus on? And how did I see this, going for me? So I want to answer honestly. Um, and this goes back to when I was young and I was considering going to university, and it was like, okay, it's not for me to go. What do I want to do, and what do I want? Who do I want to be? So before I became that professor, my plan, and I've shared this with some people, and you can see where your plan could be something, but God's plan for you could be a little bit different. And some of the things that we heard from the Ascent show is this idea to be open to what God is doing in your life. For those who know me, I am not quiet about what I know that God is doing in my life. So, my idea was to become the first petroleum engineer female in Nigeria. That was my goal. So I wanted to become an engineer. I not only wanted to become an engineer, I wanted to become a petroleum engineer. And why did I want to become a petroleum engineer? I came from a low socioeconomic status household. And I thought to myself, if I become a petroleum engineer, being in Nigeria without oil and gas money, I think I will have enough money to make sure that my family is set. That's where it came from. And what ended up happening? Imagine my surprise. I completed, I applied to only three institutions in Nigeria. I applied to IFE, I applied to University of Lagos, and I think I did one more. It might have been Ibadan. And imagine my surprise when I got all of them from all the institutions, but I was accepted for pharmacy. I'm like, pharmacy? What the heck is going on? I didn't even apply to go to the College of Pharmacy. So why would I be accepted to go to the College of Pharmacy? And it was quite interesting because my mom then said, oh, yeah, by the way, when I was submitting your form, I changed petroleum engineer. I changed it to pharmacy. I'm like, what? So when she was being nice to me and say, I will help you to mail your application, it was so that she could literally delete petroleum engineer and change everything to pharmacy. So you have to kind of think at that time what my mom was thinking about. My mom, similar to all the stories that you've had from our ESIs, my mom suffered from asthma. I grew up hearing her struggling to breathe almost every night. Not only struggling to breathe, but the next day, if she wanted to get something from the pharmacy, oftentimes if she does not have enough money, telling them, go pick this up and, can you tell them I'll bring the money, you know, next week or something like that. So in my mom's mind, she says that this is a way of if I become a pharmacist, I will own many pharmacies and she can get drugs free. So how can I be mad? My choices was I was already accepted into pharmacy programs at several institutions, and I either wait 1 year because I cannot go back. I either wait 1 year or what do I need to do, or just go ahead and do pharmacy. So I said, okay, I'm going to do pharmacy because I'm not going to waste a year, and then I'll see where this takes me. So that is kind of where how the career went, in which I got into the pharmacy school. So the next thing is that you know I did become a pharmacist and I practiced in multiple institutions, and I was not happy as a pharmacist. It was my first choice. And I did it all. I was in a pharmaceutical company. I was in a hospital setting. I was in a community pharmacy setting, and I was just not happy being a pharmacist. I just didn't. That was not what I wanted to do. And so at that time, I had a brother in the United States, and I said, you know what, I really don't want to do pharmacy. And I said, I don't want to go back and do petroleum engineering, but it sounds like I'm very curious. I like research. I would like to get my PhD on top of this. And that's how my journey into PhD started. And that's sort of how I got to go to University of Florida, and the rest is history. Okay, so that's kind of where I saw my life going, and it didn't go where I thought it was going, and I'm just going with the flow. Was able to get into PhD. So the next question: what is the one thing about me that most people in academia would be surprised to know? Okay, let's see. Can you all take a guess? I'm gonna pause, and I'm gonna ask you all to comment on what do you think there is one thing about me that a lot of people don't know. So let's see the comments coming in. I'm going to wait and see what you're saying. Dancing? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Mm, why is everybody putting that dancing? Okay, what else? Love to make music? Okay. Strong faith, yes. Uh, okay, what else? Okay, well, so yeah, so you all are in the ballpark of what it is. So congratulations on that. But one of the things that most people don't know is academia is that I would love to be a DJ. To be honest with you, I want to be a DJ. I want to be able to create music and put some music together and make people happy. Yes, I do love dancing, but I love being a DJ more. And I'm learning to be a DJ. It's a little bit slow, just because I just cannot do this with all the work I'm doing. So I am looking forward to retiring and becoming a DJ or an entertainer. That's what I want to do. It's very interesting because a lot of my colleagues would say, um, we don't see you retiring. We actually see you continue to do this work. Like, no, you don't know me. Yes, I'm doing the work that I need to do. When I retire, I'm not doing anything near what I'm currently doing. I'm going to become a DJ and I will go around the world and be a DJ. That's what I'm going to do. So there it is. So Okay, that's some interesting background about me. Let's transition into my core story, my dietary entry, the moment that changed everything for me. There was a moment that changed everything. I talked about, being being in pharmacy. I think the moment that changed everything for me, why I knew that pharmacy was not really for me. You have to think back to, this was about 35 years ago. So this was a long time ago. The practice of pharmacy is a little bit different from what we have right now. After working in pharmaceutical companies, and after working in a hospital, and after working in a community pharmacy, and the community pharmacy right there, at that time, they were not providing anything therapeutic, medication therapy management, and all the great things that pharmacists are able to do now. I just kind of felt that things were stagnant. But one of the things that gave me joy in pharmacy, as I practice pharmacy in the community pharmacy, is I would do a research, evidence based, on each of the things that most probably people came in with. So, for example, people might come in with the symptoms of, because in Nigeria there's that relationship with pharmacists that people just walk in and tell you symptoms. So instead of me just kind of thinking about the symptoms, I usually think about what led to those symptoms happening. And that was when I knew that I really, really love that side of looking at the literature, looking at research that was done, looking at really the key things that is contributing and able to do that. So that was the moment when I said, okay, this pharmacy is not working. So let me just kind of go and look into the research, and got accepted to do my PhD program at University of Florida. And that's kind of, how it sort of began. So for me, that was the moment. That was the moment that changed everything. I wanted to help the patients. I wanted to make sure everything was great with them. I didn't want to treat anything that sounded like on the surface. I wanted to do evidence-based medicine, and researching it was a good way to do the evidence-based medicine. Okay. Next part, the decision. That moment, that didn't immediately become a career, but it became a question. And just kind of thinking back, of, what was it that made me know, um, you know, that this is my career. This is something that really is great for me. And I shared this actually, during the AACR meeting. I think one of the things that I really love about what I'm trying to do right now is the ability to really talk about my experiences, and really share my experiences and how it has motivated me. A lot of people, have asked me what really motivates me, what keeps me going. Yes, I love the ability to be successful, and I like the ability to really get something going. But to be honest with you, what challenged me the most and what makes me grow is looking into people not believing in me. So it's quite interesting. There's a question about potential, there was a question about people feeling unsure about themselves. For me, I think maybe it might go to my background. I always feel sure about myself. What makes me grow is when people doubt what I can do. So I will call it, that decision, of what it is that really made me feel this is who I am and this is what I can do. So very early on, I'm very happy to share, with the decision to me just was like, okay, this is the moment. I was in graduate school, and I was not a traditional graduate students. And during the time that I was in graduate school, you can imagine I was in my late 20s at that time, and I was just starting graduate school. I had practiced pharmacy for 3 years before I decided that I wanted to do a graduate program. And in my first year of graduate school, I got married because I felt that I did not want to stall my career. Having family stall my career or stall my interest in having a family. And so in my first year, and I'm not going to name the professor, in my first year of graduate school, I got married, and I got pregnant with my first baby. And I would never forget it. I was in the graduate students' room at the University of Florida, and I was the only one there. I usually work late because I needed to get things done, and I didn't have a computer at home. The computer was on where I was living. The computer was on campus. Remember, this was donkey years ago. So and one of my professor, who happens to be a female, walked in and said to me, "Oh my goodness, in your first year, you got married and you are pregnant and having to have a baby. I don't see you completing this program. I don't see your dedication in this program, because for us females, if you are dedicated, you have to put the having a family on the back burner and things like that." And I'm looking at this woman, I'm like, okay. I didn't feel bad. I felt that, she's sharing from our personal experiences and she's not me. So I looked at her, I said, thank you for sharing imagine I was a graduate student and she's a professor. She actually was, I think, associate professor at the time. And I thank you for sharing your experience, that is your experience. My graduate program is not going to be affected by me married and having a baby. In fact, I think I'm going to graduate in record time. She looked at me and she couldn't believe what I said. And she walked out. Yeah. And I said to myself, wow, okay, this is the decision that I have to make. This was my first time being out of Nigeria. Yes, I passed through England when I was coming, but this was my first time being in the United States. This is my first year. And here is somebody who is in my face telling me that I cannot do something. And to me, that's it. That's the decision. That was the moment I told myself that nobody is going to tell me what I cannot do. I'm the only one that can tell myself what I cannot do. So I worked very hard, and I graduated in record time. In less than 4 years, I got my PhD degree. And I left actually a bunch of people that I met there. I graduated before them. So to me, that was kind of like a decisional point, and I really wanted to share that because you are going to see a whole lot of people putting the doubts that they have about themselves, putting it on you. And nobody knows you better than you know you. So you have to kind of turn it around. So that was the decision. That was the moment. That didn't immediately become a career. It became a question of what I want to do. And then the reality began. So that was my first thing about, okay, what is going on and why is this person saying this about myself? So I did, but it did not stop at that. I have so many stories. It's really amazing to kind of see how resilient we can be. And I'm sharing this in my first diary because I really want you to not think that everything goes rosy for everyone. And it goes on. There were so many other experiences that I had in my graduate program, but things continue, right? And the continuation for me was when I got my first position at West Virginia University. And we had the first faculty meeting. Imagine, okay? This is my very first academic position at a major institution. And it was at West Virginia University, and I was assistant professor. So I was so happy, Everything was going well, I thought. And we had a first faculty meeting. And the dean introduced me at the first faculty meeting in the College of Pharmacy. It ended up being, I was the first Black faculty at the West Virginia University School of Pharmacy. I was also the first faculty in the Health Sciences Center, right? So this was a first for West Virginia and for a first for me. And at the first faculty meeting that I participated in, um, which was interesting because coming from Nigeria, I really did not know that much about racism and discrimination. And when I was introduced, somebody actually said affirmative action. I want you to pause. I want to pause. And I want you to think about that. For those of you who might be joining globally, you might not know what that means. But this person is essentially telling me that the professor position that I got was because I happen to be a Black person. So he said affirmative action in front of a room full of faculty. And I think the dean was shocked. Everybody, everywhere was silent. Everywhere was silent. So remember what I've learned in my graduate program, in which if you try to impose anything that is not me on myself, I'm going to just go for your jugular. I'm not going to let it happen. So I look at this guy who was a white man. I looked at him and I said, I will put my PhD transcripts against your PhD transcripts. And I can tell you I'm better than you are in every aspect. And I also said, give me 1 year. I will be more funded and more published than you, although you've been here forever. That's what I said in the faculty meeting. And the dean was sort of apologetic. I said, no, there's no need to be apologetic. I think this is I just been given a challenge, and I think I'm rising up to the challenge. Yes, within 1 year, I was getting funding from CDC. I was publishing like crazy. I was getting awards from everywhere. And interestingly, I also within my 1 year, I got an intramural grant, and then got a CDC grant. And we had another, we had another meeting that he was in. It was this time around, it was not a faculty meeting. But he happened to be in there, and the dean was in there, and I was in there. I think it was a committee. I was part of a committee. And this was a year later. And the dean, who happens to be just the sweetest person, also a white man, and he was so great. And he was so proud. I just got a CDC award, and he said, and was congratulating me, and said, not only did she get the CDC award, she got an intramural grant. Our paper was got the best paper award for ASHP, blah blah. The deal was just going on and on. And when he talked, I just turned at him and I looked at him and said, who is affirmative action now? And I sat back. That was all I had to say. Just wanted to him that maybe he was the affirmative action. Maybe it wasn't me. And since then, we didn't talk to each other until, I left West Virginia University. We just don't talk. So for me, that was the reality, right? And then the reality began. And for somebody who came from Nigeria, from Africa, who came from a predominantly Black population, the only discrimination that I experienced was a discrimination of being born into a low socioeconomic status, which was fine. I mean, there's nothing that nobody could help where they're born into. So if you're born into a low socioeconomic status, or if you're born Black or born Hispanic or born white, wherever you cannot help it, right? So I started then learning that, wow, The United States is a little bit different. Okay, so I have to kind of figure out how to make lemonade out of a stone. Forget making lemonade out of a lemon. We're going to have to be making lemonade out of a stone. But I had other colleagues who were from, from other, races who really supported me. But, so I'm saying this because you're going to come across people who use their bias and their prejudice and their judgment to think they know who you are. And you have to let them know who you are not. So we only have a few more minutes and I still have a lot to share. So I've been talking too much. But I wanted to answer, a couple of questions. I'm going to maybe answer one more questions and try to wrap up. So the first question is, what actually drives your interest, passion, pressure, or proximity? What drives me? I mean, 30 plus years in academia and still passionate about what they do. And I think this is something that you all want to think about. You want to make sure that you really are passionate about what you do. What drives me, and I'm going to share the story later, is the ability to just make a difference, to be honest with you. One of the very closest colleagues that I have, Dr. Titi Akinremi, one of my first collaborators in Nigeria, said it to me one day. He said, I see you doing all this work, and it's not even about passion for you, it's about a calling. And I would never forget what she said. Yes, I think I am blessed to have discovered what God called me to do. And so it is a calling for me to be able to contribute to cancer research, but much more importantly, to be able to develop the next generation of cancer scientists and be able to guide and mentor and use my life experiences for people. I think is something that I really enjoyed. Another question is, what moment in your life has stayed with you and why? I've shared so many stories, but I'm going to quickly share this one. And I shared it during the AACR meeting, during the panel, and I think it's really important that I share the story so that you all can know that there are, there are going to be obstacles, there are going to be challenges. I think you need to rise above them. And that is very critical. I've shared the story so many times, but I'm going to, in 1 minute or 2 minutes, I'm going to quickly share the story. So when after I graduated from University of Florida, my very first year, I wanted to publish my papers as soon as possible. And after about 6 months, there's one critical paper from my dissertation that is really great and I need to get out. And the major advisor that I had at my institution, I'm not going to name him, is since apologized. There's no need for me to air him. But I'm sharing this because there are quite a number of early stage investigators or even allied health staff that are being challenged about who they are, and how you just rise up to this is very important. And he was traveling, he said, oh, I'm traveling, I'm busy, I cannot review this publication. And I said, okay, if you can't review the publication, can I just submit it? And he said, if you cannot wait for me, if you can, this is exactly how he said in the email. If you cannot wait for me to finish, take my name out. I'm telling you, the person who is my major advisor was, if you count 3 people on the top of our research professional at that time, he's most probably number 1 or number 2. So he said, take my name out, if you're going to submit it, if you cannot wait. So that was the moment. It was like, if I said, okay, I will take your name out and I will work with this other person to publish it. And do you know what his response was to me? If you take my name out, it's most probably not going to get published. Whoa. Can you imagine? It's my first year as faculty, as assistant professor. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why are these people challenging me? What is going on? I said, that's fine, thank you. I submitted it for publication and it was rejected. It was rejected. And I know why it was rejected. because his name was not on it. The old dissertation that I did was part of the work that he was doing, although my work was different. It built on his. And I'm sure, and everybody knew it was my dissertation professor. And without his name, he was right. It got rejected. I wrote a rebuttal to the journal. My rebuttal was longer than the publication that I submitted. Why this paper needs to be published. The rebuttal was accepted and the paper was accepted. Not only was the paper accepted, it was nominated by the publishers to be one of the best paper, to win one of the best papers of the year award. Not only was it nominated, it won. And I won the award alongside with this just one professor who added on this international stage. And the award was not only an award at that time, it came with money. I think it was $500, which was a lot for me and for that author. And as I was stepping down, getting down from the award stage, who came there? It was him. He was my major advisor. And he apologized and he said, I thought, I was bigger than you, but you did show that you can do this. I'm so proud of you. And I got teary-eyed because I got hurt for him just not wanting to do that. So it was okay. So that was the moment that changed my life. Once that moment happened, I promise you there's nothing the world can bring against me that I do not feel God is going to let me conquer. Nothing. God is the only, and it's not a being. God is the only thing that can be against me that I know things are not going to work, because having your major advisor do that to you and survive, that was it. So I've been throwing a lot in 1 minute. Give me 2 or more minutes. I'm going to wrap up. If my career became difficult tomorrow, what would be strong enough to keep me there? If my career became difficult, what would be strong enough to keep me there? The families affected by prostate cancer, I go all over the world and I see it. Regardless, I'm gonna keep going. And the next generation of early stage investigators, somebody said something to me recently, and I love what the person said. He has not given me permission to say it, so I'm not going to say the person's name. That person said, Dr. Dedino, you know what? Your superpower is training the next generation of scientists. I don't think anybody could take that superpower away from you. And when that person said, it was like, oh my goodness, yeah, that's it. That's my superpower. I just love seeing people flourish, whether you are staff, whether you're early stage investigators, whether you're investigator. I just want you to do well. I want you to do better than me. I really pray that you do better than me. That is the way that I say things, and that's what I want to happen. Okay, I'm wrapping up before I get kicked out. 3 groundbreaking takeaways, 3 things. Practical takeaway number 1, purpose is discovered, not declared. Let me say that again. Purpose is discovered, not declared. You don't need to have everything figured out, but you must pay attention to what moves you. What moves you? Takeaway number 2, your experiences are data, whether they are good or bad. Don't turn away from those bad experiences. They are data. The moments that stay with you are not random. They are clues as to your purpose. Okay. Number 3, and this is the last one, don't rush clarity. Please, careers built on pressure fade. If you pressure yourself to do something, it's going to fade. The careers that are built on purpose endure. And I am blessed by God to have built my careers on purpose, and that is where my career is enduring. Okay, this was my first diary entry, and I wanted to talk to you from my heart. Things are going to be a little bit different from henceforth, but it is only the beginning. The next time I'll share something very different. The worst advice I have ever received early in my career and how it almost shaped my path. But for now, I want to hear from you, questions coming from you in the comments. What moment shaped your path, or what moment are you still trying to understand? Leave it in the comments. Let's learn from each other. And if you're walking this academic journey, whether you are certain or still figuring it out, you are not alone. This is Academic Diaries from me, from Professor O. I'll see you during the next entry. Okay, back to my diary.